What an honor to be with Rav Rakeffet today. And we want to share with you Rav's words and send regards.
Whenever I meet with Harav Aryeh Katzin, it is very emotional for me. In May of 1980, the Mossad reached out to me. I still don't know how they knew about me. But I would have said, who's interested in risking his life in communist Russia? But I had to answer to my wife. And those of you who know Malki Shagadola Zachiti, she said, we go. And we were briefed for about 6 months. And then December of 1980, Loba Weizaf made the front page of the New York Times with the raid on the Gemara class. And the Mossad gave me detailed instructions to allow 5 people. They wanted to see what the KGB would tolerate, to go back to the same apartment where the raid was. Very fascinating. And Baruch Hashem, Loba and I met at that time. And it was an ongoing romance later. His mother, his grandmother, I remember when they arrived at the airport here with miracles, they went from the airport to Gris. How they found it, I don't know, because many Anglos can't find it. And I remember my mother, my wife, my daughters, we all came, we were dancing here. And Baruch Hashem, it's a tremendous success story, the rebirth of the Jewish people, the rebirth of Eretz Yisrael, the rebirth of Torah Yisrael, Am Yisrael. And I have to say, Shlomo Karmach deserves credit, Am Yisrael Chai, but he added on Od Avinu Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu Chai tells us that we have forebears. We didn't discover everything anew. We're the continuity of Matan Torah, the Jewish people, Har Sinai, all that has enabled us to remain the Jewish people until this very moment.
Because of people who have courage like you.
Baruch Hashem,
And I remember
Baruch Hashem.
when you came to us the first day, you said that at the airport there was a Palestinian person who approached you and asked you, are you Jewish? And you didn't know, because Soviet Union, first time in Soviet Union, he may have a knife or a gun. And what did you answer him?
No, a proud Jew, a proud Jew.
And you said that even under threat of life,
Right. No,
you need to be a proud Jew.
Right, I've given lectures on it.
And I believe for us in the Soviet Union then, it was maybe one of the most important classes, what you said.
Baruch Hashem. And just to be very brief, when I came back to the free world, I helped organize an institution for spiritual reawakening of Soviet Jewry called Shvut Ami, which functioned for very close to 40 good years.
And I was learning there too.
And Rabbi Katzin studied there. And then there was fundraising problems, so I gave them the permission to publish. I'm also a bit of a scholar. It's not just an activist, but a scholar who also became an activist. And I have many published writings, and I gave Shvut Ami permission to publish. These were fundraisers that over the decades, the 4 volumes of Rav Aharon raised millions of dollars for Soviet Jewry. I personally never took a penny out of it. I said everything has to be l'shem shamayim. If my wife and I can't go into more detail now, but books have been published. The Mossad published B'Netiv HaDamama, The Silent Path. You'll read about Malka and myself. I published in my 7th published volume, Washington, and in my 9th published volume, Rav Aharon Rakeffet Daled, I published details of what we did in the ensuing decade until communism fell. We came back to Russia a number of times, and we were responsible for the study of Talmud in the Refusnik community, and we sent personally over 200 people to Russia. How we had the money, we were paupers, but the Mossad, Baruch Hashem, had money. And we sent over 200 people to continue the chain that I began in January of 81. And Baruch Hashem, we have great nachat today when we see the Russians here in Israel integrated, basically running the country. Tremendous political success. But above all, we are overjoyed when we see Balei Tshuva and their children and grandchildren. And I once had the schut in the park. 2 people in back of me are learning Mishnayah, 2 men in their 30s in Russian. And my nachat was without bounds. And I can tell Aryeh that I went over to them. They figured on Nutnik, who, I don't look like anyone who, if people say, what's your specialty? I say, Shasim Paiskim. They look at me quizzatically. And I mentioned to them, Shvatami, then they're right. I mentioned, I know Reb Lezer Klugel very well. Zeichet Tzadik L'Vracha. Wow, they stood up. And it was like America, Russia, and Admat HaKodesh all became one. So we should only have Besora Tovat and not to be distressed by our difficulties. B'chol Davadah, the Jewish people have had difficulties, but we have to have the courage to rise and to overcome. Ki mitzion teitzei Torah u'devar Hashem meYerushalayim.
And therefore, Rav Rakeffet encouraged me and said, you need to make programs for the young Russian Olim that come right now. And this is what RISE was created. With your blessings and encouragement. So we have RISE, Russian, Israeli, Zionist education. And education.
Education should be lekaved u'letiferet.
Thank you so much. We go to Shir.
I got to teach.